Hello, ninth graders, and welcome to the lesson. Well, today's lesson is about when to use first and second conditional. Most people or teachers, they confuse their students of how or when to use the two types of conditionals. Well, in this lesson, I will help you to understand the difference between these two types of conditionals. So let's look at the first conditional. We use the first conditional to talk about possible or probable conditions. What do we mean by possible? Possibility means when you are able to do something, and probability means that things are likely to happen. So we use the first conditional to talk about possible or probable conditions with possible or probable results. Take a look at the first example. If the weather is good, we'll go camping. Well, there's a big probability or possibility that the weather will be good. So if the weather is good, we'll possibly or probably go camping. Now, let's take a look at the second conditional. We use the second conditional to talk about improbable or imaginary conditions. Improbable means that the things are unlikely to happen, and imaginary means that the things exists only in your mind. So you have to use your imagination. So we use the second conditional to talk about improbable or imaginary conditions with improbable or imaginary results. Let's look at the example. If we were millionaires, we'd buy a ship. Unfortunately, in reality, we're not millionaires, but we're imagining that if we were millionaires, we'd buy a ship. So you have to understand that in the first conditional, the situations or the conditions are real. And in the second conditional, the situations or the conditions are imaginary or improbable. They are not real. Now, let's take a look at the formulation of the first and the second conditional. And now let's look at first conditional forms. Well, we have two orders for the sentences. The first order is when you start the sentence with if. If plus present simple, will or won't, plus the infinitive. Or you can write the sentence with the second order. Will, won't, plus infinitive. If plus present simple. We have two parts or two clauses in the sentence. The part that begins with the if clause is called the condition clause, and the part that starts with when or won't is the result clause. Now look at the following examples. If you are rude to your mother, I'll stop your pocket money. Here we have begun the sentence with if, and we have formed the verb to be into the present simple form. In the second clause, the result clause, here's the will, the future will, and the infinitive form of the main verb. The second sentence is written in the second order. I'll stop your pocket money if you are rude to your mother. So if you can notice that when you start the sentence with if, you have to use a comma between the two parts of the sentence. But if you start the sentence with the will or won't, you don't use a comma. And if is in the center of the two parts of the sentence. The third example. You'll have to pass your exams if you want to join a university. Well, we have started the sentence with the result clause. If is in the center of the two parts. And here's the present simple form. The second order. If you want to join a university, you'll have to pass your exams. I've started the sentence with if, and here's the present simple form of the main verb. So this is the condition clause, and here's the result clause, and we started it with will and the infinitive. There's something important that you have to know, that we use will or won't depending on the meaning of the sentence. So let's rewrite the first example again using won't. And the meaning of the sentence, of course, it will change. So if you are rude to your mother, let's rewrite it. If you aren't rude to your mother, I won't stop your pocket money. So here the meaning of the sentence has changed. If you aren't rude to your mother, I won't stop your pocket money. The main idea that you use won't according to the sentence meaning. And also you have to remember that if the main verb isn't the verb to be, we form the negative of the present simple by using don't or doesn't. And now let's take a look at second conditional forms. And now let's take a look at the second conditional forms. The first order, if plus past simple, would or wouldn't plus infinitive. So this is the condition clause, and it's in the past simple. And the result clause, you use would or wouldn't. The second order, would or wouldn't plus infinitive, if plus past simple. So here we have started the order with the result clause, and then you write the condition clause. Now look at the following examples. If I had some time, I'd tidy up my room. Well, here's the past simple form for the verb have in the condition clause, and here's the contraction of would and the infinitive form of the main verb in the second clause. This is the second order. I'd tidy up my room if I had some time. And the same rule applies to all types of conditionals. If you start the sentence with if, you have to write a comma in the center or in the middle of the two parts of the sentence. And if you start the sentence with the result clause, if is in the center of the two sentences. The world would be a better place if the politicians were less corrupt. So I've begun the sentence with the result clause, so I've used would and the infinitive. And here's the if clause, where I've used the past simple form of the verb to be. If the politicians were less corrupt, the world would be a better place. This is the second order. Here I've used were, the past simple of the verb to be, and in the result clause would and the infinitive. And we use would or wouldn't according to the meaning of the sentence. So I write the first example using the negative form of would. If I didn't have some time, I wouldn't tidy up my room. As you can see, in the condition clause, we form the past simple negative using didn't, and you have to put the main verb in the infinitive form. In the result clause, I've used wouldn't. Well, this sentence is different from the first sentence. The first sentence means if I had some time, that means that I don't have time. So if I had some time, I tidy up my room, but I don't have time. In this sentence, if I didn't have some time, that means that I have time. I wouldn't tidy up my room, and that means that I have tidy up my room. And now let's revise the uses of the first and the second conditionals again. So here's the use of the first conditional again. So we use the first conditional for real possible conditions with real possible results. To help you understand or to help you know which conditional to use, often we use the first conditional when we make plans or when we give advice or warning. So here's an example of how do we make plans. If the weather is good, we'll go out. So here's the verb to be in the present simple form and will plus the infinitive. And here's another example of how we make advice and warnings. If you are late, I'll be angry. So here is the present simple form for the verb to be and will plus the infinitive form of the main verb. Second conditional. So we use second conditional for improbable or imaginary conditions with improbable or imaginary results. So let's focus on improbability. For improbable situations, if she wasn't late, she'd catch her flight. This is impossible or improbable situation because she's already late and she has missed her flight. So we're imagining that if she wasn't late, she would catch her flight. And considering imagination, you have to use imagination when you write second conditional sentences. If he had lots of money, he'd buy a big house. Well, he doesn't have money, or maybe he have a little money. So we're imagining that if he had lots of money, he'd buy a big house. This is your homework for today's lesson. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope that you are not confused anymore, and goodbye.